been a while. All right. Yeah. Scott, good to be hanging out with you here this morning.
Yes, sir. Good to see you, Rex. Hope you've been
Oh,
well.
yeah. Doing good out here in Elmhurst. How are things over in Forest Park?
Great. It's beautiful this time of year.
Yeah, not out my windows. And we're only about 10 miles apart, really, as the bird
Right.
flies.
Yeah, we got a
Uh,
little colder today. It was nice and warm yesterday, so I had to shut the air off today. It got a little chilly. Feels good, but
yeah, I get an Arctic blast in my little office here in Elmhurst, and I might have to talk to the landlord because I don't want to bring a parka in July.
right. You
It
don't
doesn't
want to do that.
No, it doesn't seem appropriate. Yeah, so if people don't know, Elmhurst and really Forest Park, we're directly in one line east-west of each other. I'm west of you, you're east of me, and east of you is Chicago, about 8 miles away, right? Something like
Correct.
that.
Yeah, right down the street, about 9 miles.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I appreciate you hopping on here, Scott Davis of LocaliQ, and let's kick this thing off. Just to remind folks, my name's Rex Plamann. I'm a partner at DDSmatch in the Chicagoland area, really northern Illinois rectangle, going from the Mississippi over to Lake Michigan. We're into supporting practice owners with transition plans for the ownership of their practice. We recruit associates and those kind of things. But Scott, what's important to me today is to really bring notification to folks of what you're doing in our dental community here in and around Chicagoland. And so, Scott, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure, Rex. I've been doing marketing since 1998. Sold Yellow Pages. I'm sure you remember those back in the day. So I was at Yellow Pages, print Yellow Pages in 1998 for about 10 years. And I've been doing full tilt internet marketing, digital marketing since 2006. So my firm, like I said, like you mentioned, is LocaliQ, and we're a full service digital media agency focusing on pretty much all business models, dental especially, or anything in healthcare. And our goal is to help you get new patients, very, very soon, as soon as possible, because you're not going to be able to retain all the patients that you have. They're going to move, they're going to die, unfortunately, and whatever it is. So we're always able to help you replenish those ones that you lost as far as the patients.
Yeah, a lot of migrations going on with people these days, right? And so you just
Absolutely.
just can't rely on your patient base from last year because it's
Right.
ever changing for
Correct.
sure. Yeah, it's been great to get to know you. We've gotten to know each other through a couple different networking groups that are
Yeah.
focused on dental and healthcare. A lot of great folks in there. And so, in dealing with practice owners in your role, Scott, what do you see as like some of the biggest challenges as they relate to marketing?
Well, first of all, setting the right expectations. I mean, we want the phone to ring with any kind of marketing right away and to make a 50 to 1 return within a week. That's just not plausible, right? I mean, some people are that way, and it's kind of hard sometimes to set the right expectations only because you need a little patience. Again, this is going to work. You just have to follow the game plan. When you're playing a football game and something goes wrong in the first couple minutes, you're not going to, or you shouldn't deviate from your game plan. I'm a big analogy guy. So you want to stick to the
So,
game plan and just stick it through and just wait. You got to wait it out, right? Everything's set up right. Our audiences, we're targeting the right audiences. You just got to be patient with that. You
yeah,
also have to have somebody answering the phones. You can't have leads calling in and they go right to voicemail. Unfortunately, cell phones and technology have made everyone, impatient, and they want to talk to someone right now. And what we found a lot of times is somebody keeps calling locally until somebody picks up and answers. That's just how it works, right? And the impatience is
yeah.
there. So, set the right expectations and, just be patient with the marketing efforts because it does take a little time.
Yeah, and I think more than really in a long time here, I'm hearing people talk about the challenges of finding new patients and growing or, really maintaining that patient base. It's got to be a big focus with you and the clients that you're interacting with.
100%. So getting new patients. And then once you get them, retaining them and communicating with them. Super important. I mean, obviously, you don't want somebody coming in just one and done. You want them coming in, several times a year, and just to make sure they're taken care of, and not come in or less than one time a year. I guess is my point. So there's all kinds of ways that we have and that are available to target someone during all stages of the buying funnel when they're looking for a dentist. Also, when that person, becomes a patient or the family becomes all patients, that you've got to nurture those patients and remind them who you are. You could certainly send out direct mail to their home addresses on file. And we have a program called geofencing, which will allow you to send your message to each of the patient's homes as a reminder, every other day or however you want to set that up to get people in the door. Then I'm able to track from those geofencing efforts when they walk in the door to your practice. So I can track walk-in traffic. So you want
Yeah,
to,
that's pretty slick. I don't fully understand the geofencing. We've done some of that with some of the conventions we go to,
right.
to geofence the folks that are participating in that convention, whatever the subject might be there or whatnot. But yeah,
Yeah,
very
so this
interesting.
type is, yeah, it's a great tool and it's a branding play. But our geofencing in this particular case, from a dental perspective, is called addressable geofencing. So we would target the home addresses of all your patients, whether they just became a new patient, yesterday or from a few years back, is a nice branding reminder. It's like, hey, don't forget Dr. Jones, DDS Dental, come on in today. So we're able to track that. Not only are we targeting the homes, but if your neighbor comes over and visits you at the house that's not a patient of yours, then I'm going to expose your dental practice because they visited their friend's house next door that's a current patient. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Mhm.
I find some of this fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, every cell phone for geofencing has something called a unique advertising device ID. I don't know it's Rex's phone or Scott's phone, but I know where the phone is because of that ID. So I'm able to target that phone with an ad, and that's what it's designed for, in certain areas, whether it's a trade show, in this case, the actual address of the patient. So you can get very creative and make your dental brand become a lot more sticky by utilizing that feature.
Yeah, and I totally understand how you want to maximize your touches with patients when they're not in the practice, because it's really easy to be kind of old fashioned to say, well, they're a patient now. They showed up and they got a hygiene appointment done, and I examined them well, and we give them a high touch, and we've got concierge style service here. But I don't think we can rest there, right? You got to find a way to get to them to
You got to
say,
keep
hey, we're out there.
reminding yourselves, right? I mean, we all eat at McDonald's, and how often do we see an ad on McDonald's? Every 5 minutes, it seems, right? And everybody
Right.
knows McDonald's. So, yeah, we want to get them in there, hopefully more than once a year, and just
And
have
I
a little
suppose that's where social media can come into play as well, where they
100%.
need to get more active with their Facebook, Instagram, and those kind of things.
Yeah, so we want to, or you want to target anybody that does marketing wants to target someone during all stages of the buying funnel or buying journey, I should say. It used to be called a funnel, now we call it the journey. So that usually starts on Google. They check you out. They know that you're there. They check your reviews out. Then they want to go see what you're doing and talking about on Facebook as far as education. And they're going to be looking at all kinds of different touch points before they finally touch you, call you and say, hey, I'm ready to schedule an appointment. So between 6 and 10 touch points is what we're saying before somebody actually calls you from that initial visit to your site.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot of touch points.
And my software is able to track those touch points too, as far as our reporting dashboard. You can see they started at Facebook or they started at Google and just the journey someone took, which is really, in my opinion, quite incredible.
Yeah, and those reports, the dashboards that you have that show people where you're influencing folks, where they're seeing you, and those kind of things, that's really revealing as to where their traffic patterns go
Yeah,
and the
and
amount of
it's
volume that's out there.
100%, and it's all HIPAA compliant, and it's a great tool to get leads coming in and new patients, but it's also a great tool to see how your front office manager, whoever's answering the phones, is doing a good job. Sometimes they don't do the greatest job, and that could be a turnoff where someone's going to leave or like, I don't like how I was treated, and I don't know, it kind of sounds dumb, but you got to do a really good job at answering the phone. Number one. Number two, when you do answer the phone, you got to make sure that you're pleasant. And when I sold Yellow Pages a long time ago, there was an inside sales team, and each inside salesperson had a mirror on their desk. And I was like, what? Why does all the inside sales reps have a mirror on
Uh,
their desk? And my manager at the time said, because we want you to smile when you're talking. Like, what? I just didn't get it. That was my first job out of college. Didn't
yeah.
understand it. It's like, well, if you're looking at the mirror and you're smiling, it's going to be conveyed in your voice and the tonality of your voice. So anyway, you gotta be as sweet as pie on the phone. All this makes sense, I'm sure.
Oh
But
yeah, no, that's a huge point though. That's a long time play in that customer service realm that still exists today, right? It's meaningful today.
right,
Um,
100%.
so shifting gears just a little bit, I see dentist, practice owners. Let's talk about the practice owner for a second here. And they partner with somebody like yourself or a dental consultant, and it's really not necessarily tangible, the results they're always going to see from your efforts. And I feel like too many times those relationships break down early and maybe without cause because there's just not great understanding from the client. What are you seeing with your relations with clients, and where do they break down sometimes or expectations fall short?
Again, expectation setting is sometimes it's kind of hard to do, or you don't want to say that it might take a little bit longer. If we set this up right, you got to be patient on it. Because again, the internet, cell phones, have created, impatience. And so we got to try to set that aside and say,
Yeah,
listen,
we've all got ADD, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
does. Everyone uses
Yeah.
the internet, it seems, or
Yeah.
uses their cell phone. So, setting the right expectations and then making sure everybody's on board, right? I mean, as far as the focus, do I want just general dentist, general practice patients? Do I want implant patients? Do I want cosmetic dentistry patients? It depends on what you're going after, because certain
Mhm.
things are a little bit more expensive than others as far as keywords are concerned. But setting the right expectations and then making sure the practice manager and then obviously the owner and then somebody like myself, are all on the same page and that you're logging into our dashboard. We have our 24/7 reporting dashboard that some folks just don't look at. I like to think that they're too busy to look at it, which is great, but you still got to look at it. You got to see who called. You got to see why they called, and you can hear that because again, we're recording the calls. I can't hear it because it's HIPAA compliant, but only the end users can use, or I'm sorry, the dental practice and the dental side of the business can log in and listen to that. So it's a great tool and will help you determine how things are going and how well you're answering the phone.
So they really need to maybe sort of pin somebody to be the lead on this with you that will
Yes,
take care of the dashboard and look at some of the factors involved in success with working with LocaliQ.
correct.
And
Correct. And then we do have a new generative AI lead capture tool that we've developed that is live now, and it's going to be HIPAA compliant in probably a month or two. So if you ever have problems, anyone ever has problems, answering the phone, and a lot of us do, this AI capture program will actually take the calls for you, schedule appointments for you, set up
wow.
text messaging alerts for you. So that's a brand new tool. And again, it's not quite HIPAA compliant yet. There's a couple of things we have to do on our side legally, but as far as any others, business model, it's available now. And it's our new
Is there
generative
any
AI lead
burden on
capture.
the client for setting something like that up? Or is it really you're doing all that work and
We're
you're
doing all the
just going to
work.
pass them those leads? Yep.
Yeah, you just need to log into the dashboard to see who it was and say, oh, this became a patient because I can't see that, because we protect it for HIPAA, concerns or reasons.
Sure.
So yeah,
Sure.
we give you all the data. We tell you who called and when, why they called. Then you can classify it as far as is it a really hot lead, semi-hot lead, not so much. And our dashboard also turns into a CRM. I know we all have a CRM that we like and that we've been using. So we're
Yeah.
not trying to replace the CRM. It'll integrate into it with some webhooks. But
Okay.
as far as the call tracking, did somebody call me from my Google Ads program? Yes, here it is. Did somebody call me from my Facebook ads? Yes, here's that call. Did somebody call from my search engine optimization, my SEO efforts? Yes, here's that call. So I'm able to separate and differentiate what calls and lead sources came from where.
Nice. Nice. I appreciate that. Off the cuff thought here, Scott. How do people work with a company like yours? I don't know if they understand, like, is it a contract? Is it a monthly thing? Is it a one-time fee? How does
Yeah,
that
so
work?
it is a retainer. It's a monthly investment, and the pricing is determined by public auction on the Google ad side. So just to throw that out there. So usually about half the folks click on the ads on the top where it reads sponsored. And
Yeah.
the other half just don't like the ads and they scroll down to the organic section. So that's called
Sure.
search engine optimization. So you can't just work on any of those items for a month or two. I mean, you can, but you're not going to feel the results unless you keep going. Not that I'm
You got to
the
keep
gym
going
expert.
over time.
Yeah, not that I'm the gym expert here, but you want to keep going to the gym to maintain your physique, to be in shape. You can't just go a couple times and then like look for results. It's not going to happen. Same thing
I
with
keep wishing for that, Scott. Don't bring me
me
down
too.
like that,
Me
man.
too. I haven't found that yet. Anyway, so yeah, it's a full contact sport, to use another analogy. So yes, it would be a contract. They're not long term at all, and just we want to make sure that you know what's going on and what we're doing, and it's in stages too, right? We can't do everything all at once. We've got to spread it out piecemeal. Our strategy, right? The strategy
Sure.
is 4 quarters, not just 1 quarter.
Right. And your strategy is, okay, well, you're a dental practice in Forest Park. We don't have to market to the whole world. We're just looking at a certain area and we're going to put our pieces in play that would influence the marketplace around
Correct.
you.
Yeah, and one key thing is, and I don't know what your experience with this is, Rex, but a lot of dentists I've talked to, the service area or the radius or the targeting, I should say targeting that we're going after,
Mhm.
nobody comes more than from 3 miles away or from 5 miles away. And I'm not so sure I believe that because people shop where they live, but they also shop where they work. I had a dentist
Yeah.
in Westmont, which is half hour, 40 minutes away from me, that I was so loyal to because that was close to my office at the time. So I kept going to him because it was close to my office. So I'd schedule an early morning appointment because I knew I had to be in the office, go see my dentist first, and then, so either way. So you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah. It's not
Off
simple,
road.
right? Where
Right.
are these people we're targeting? Well, they're in a couple different places,
Right.
Yeah.
And you can cater your messaging saying, hey, come visit us while you're at work or after work or at lunchtime or however you want to word that. So there's very, unique ways to create those or
So
target
it's
those.
going to be different if I'm in a strip mall next to Whole Foods. I'm going to be marketing to the people that are coming into that retail shopping area,
Sure.
as well as the communities behind it, and then
Mhm.
folks that might be working over in this area
Absolutely.
too that live 20 miles away.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, yeah, that's pretty complex when you think about it.
It is. There's a lot to keep track of, and so we're able to do that. All we need is your help. The dentist, the practice manager, and then I'm sorry, and the owner of the business, the dental practice involved because I can't do anything without their help. It's a team sport. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I love it. Hey, last question here, or maybe the last question. Google's sort of in charge of who's going to be successful on the internet based upon, certain parameters that they're looking for. What are the hot buttons today that would move you up in the ranks on the internet with Google?
just make sure that you have relevant, unique content. There's a lot of agencies that specialize in dental marketing or healthcare marketing, and they get a little lazy because they copy content from a person's website in Alaska, and I'm in Chicago, and like, oh, what's the big deal? I mean, it's so far away, but Google actually keeps track of that content. You're copying content from a dental practice or it originated in Alaska, and I'm in Illinois, they're going to catch up at some point. They actually have engineers looking for that. So the key with Google is just relevant, unique content based on your brand and your voice. And then
I
obviously
heard
the
they might be
keyword.
looking for more educational snippets
Yep,
that you might embed into your
right.
website or
It's also there as well. So relevant unique content, the right keywords in there as well that are relevant to your business model. And then any kind of FAQs, educational things is also a good thing. That's, could be for a blog post, your frequently asked questions page, which usually gets the most engagement time is the FAQ page because that educates somebody to
yeah.
even call you.
Yeah, makes
So
sense. Well, that's
100%.
kind of why we're doing these, to
Right.
build into my microsite to give it a higher ranking because there's more relevancy and reasons for people to visit and whatnot. And when I'm creating my marketing materials now, I'm always in the verbiage, the descriptions of the practices we represent. Well, I'm going to put in their dental practice for sale somewhere multiple times,
Yeah. In whatever city it's in, right, which will help you rank
right?
too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
put as many keywords in the right places as possible, pardon me, that are relevant to your business model. So like you said with your case, dental office for sale, McHenry, Illinois, and then put the zip code in there. That's really going to help too.
Well, this has been a treat, Scott. I appreciate talking to a Google Premier partner.
Yes.
And where can people find you?
They can find me on the on my cell phone. It's 224-250-4069, or by email is S as in Scott, so S Davis, which is Davis, S Davis, the number 2 at localiq.com. And again, I am
Nice.
local, so we can work anywhere in the world, but we're based out of Forest Park, right
Yeah,
close.
businesses of any kind, but you've got to focus on healthcare and dentistry,
Yep.
which I totally appreciate. And so do the clients you're serving, my man.
Oh yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
want to mention one more thing, Rex, as far as your website. You want to have as many pages as possible on your site. And the reason why you want that is because you want as many pages as possible to rank on Google. So if I've got 5 pages, that probably may not be enough. If I have 5 pages, I might be able to get 5 pages to rank. Where's my hand? There it is. But if I have
Yeah.
12 pages, I can possibly get 12 pages to rank. So the more pages you have, the more chances you can rank individually on those pages, and just more exposure and more real estate on the page. So I meant to throw that in there before we
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And you'll see that from companies that you follow or you visit on the web. They'll have multiple pages that are listed on that first page of the
Yes,
search, right?
same website, just different pages of that site. So same
One's for
company,
their home page and one's
right?
for the contact us page and one's for the testimonial page. And yeah,
Services page, yeah. So that's a
yeah,
great
yeah,
point. So you can
yeah.
dominate that first page if you have multiple pages on your site.
Dominate. We want to dominate.
Dominate,
Love
dominate
it.
the dojo.
Love it. Great. Any other parting words here before we sign off? And we'll leave people with your contact information here at the
Sure.
end.
Yeah, if you're interested in learning more, we offer a free website forensic audit. We have multiple tools that we use to see what's broken on your site. And it doesn't look broken from the end user's perspective because I can read it. There's no errors on it. But from the back end is the key thing. There might be some broken items, which is deterring those pages to be ranking. So I will do a free, forensic audit of your website and your online presence if there's anyone interested to see what's going on there, or just compare notes on your current vendor.
How often do you think people should consider reconstructing their website?
Every 5 to 7 years is a good time to rebrand or refresh your brand,
Yeah.
in our opinion. So because the
Or
WordPress,
sooner. I'm hearing sooner with
yeah,
some. Yeah.
yeah, could be. So you don't need to redo your website every other year, but it's good to refresh your brand and just refresh the image of what your site looks like, every 5 to 7 years. But again, that could be sooner than that. But you
Awesome.
constantly want to monitor it, and that's what we do is we monitor it nonstop. So we're the guard duty, if you will, of your website.
Yeah. Perfect. We all need that. We all
Yeah.
need that. Hey, thanks so much, Scott.
You're
We'll
welcome,
be
Rex.
back
It's a
in
pleasure.
contact soon.
Yes, sir. Have a great
Yeah.
day. Thank
Appreciate
you,
you.
Rex.
Okay.